The member for Higgins.
Well, Mr Speaker, may I say I didn't think I'd ever see the day where both sides of this parliament would say nice things about me. It is just possible that both sides of the dispatch box are happy with the announcement that I've made, Mr Speaker. And I want to thank both the Leader of the Liberal Party, Malcolm Turnbull, and the Prime Minister, Mr Rudd, for their very kind words. Woody Allen was once asked what he hoped to hear people say at his funeral. And he said, as I'm lying there at my funeral, I'd hope to hear somebody say, look, he's still moving. And it's a very nice thing to actually come here and not be quite departed, and to hear the kind of speeches one only hears as eulogies. In fact, I might come back tomorrow for a little more. I'm enjoying it so much. The Prime Minister, rightly, I think, talked about Australia's role in the formation of the G20. The G20 would not really have happened without Australia, and it brought together the developed world and the developing world, and Australia is neither. We came in as an honest broker because we stood in Asia's hour of need as the only country, along with Japan, that came to the rescue of those crisis-affected economies. And I don't need to say that, from our perspective, to have a seat at the table, which represents 90% of global GDP, is a very, very important diplomatic position for us and for our country. It's moved up a notch now with the Leaders' Summit, and I think the role that it played both when it was convened by President Bush and also Prime Minister Gordon Brown shows just how important it is. And I do think that this is something that Australia must never let go of. There will be others that will try and refashion a G something else, a G8, a G7, a G13, a G14. Bear in mind the G20 is a forum where Australia can play a role, and always has. We have chaired it, we have had it here in Australia, and it will be integral, I think, to the shape of the future of the global economy. I thank the Leader of the Opposition for mentioning our achievements in the economic sphere. Of course, those on the other side won't want to refer to them as much for obvious reasons, but I'll make this point. It's a point actually I've made in the new chapter of the forthcoming paperback edition of my book. And I don't know if I mentioned the hardback copy is actually sold out, and we are having a paperback edition with a new chapter. It's a point I've made, is that the strength of Australia's position in terms of its debt to GDP ratios have got nothing to do with the journey in the last year, but everything to do with the starting point. We didn't have had a starting point of a net negative debt, that is an asset position, then our debt position would be ending up where the Europeans and the Americans and the British is. It was the strength of the starting point that gave Australia ammunition that could be unloaded and unlocked in the current situation. And every now and then it's just worth paying credit to the people who've put in place important reforms before your time. None of us comes to politics in the year zero. There's always something that's gone on before. And I've always paid credit because I think they were right to Hawke and Keating for the liberalisation of the financial markets and the cutting of tariffs. And there are things that we could also be given credit for, I think, by the current government, and it will make Australia stronger if we do that. Can I say, in that maiden speech that I gave so many years ago, I said these words: I believe in the Parliament. And I do. And although it was my privilege to be a minister for a very long period of time, the Parliament is still important. There's no person in this place that is not important. Everybody had something to get themselves here and to get elected and has a view that has to be listened to. We are lucky to have a parliament. And that's why I very consciously decided after the election that I would stay in the parliament, because the parliament is an institution that should be preserved and valued, not just the ministry. And it's been my privilege to be in this parliament for 20 years, what I consider the best years of my life. I also want to say I think Australia's best years can still be in front of it. I think this is still a young country with wonderful opportunity, and properly governed, there are greater things in store for us. The Prime Minister was very generous in his words. I thank him for those words. On this occasion, he did not come the raw prawn. He gave a fair suck of the sauce bottle. And I appreciate the statement that he did. Family means everything to me, and you cannot imagine the strength that a strong family gives a person. And I thank my family and my colleagues, my branch members and my electorate committee for everything they have given me. It has been an honour and a privilege to serve in this parliament. Yeah.